Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Wednesday, January the 27th. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading. Everything, part two, with Walmal. Before we get started, let's just remember one thing. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and from Walmal's. Walmal. Yesterday we talked about, you could do everything, right and still take a loss, and you could do everything wrong and take a profit. So but today we wanted to show the fellow traders out there what we look at right before the top of the hour. So
Yeah, and yeah, and I think that's important, especially when, we talked a little bit yesterday about this whole idea of statistics and using statistics to go and further our trading and go and help us along with more profitable trades than losses. So it is important to go and, make sure that we're in line with what our statistics are telling us. So there's a number of things we can go and look at.
okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll let you lead. You walk us through what we usually do.
Okay. Well, the first thing that we usually do is we'll go over and look at the daily chart. Just look at the daily chart, see where we are in the day. And if we look at that daily chart right now, what you see is pretty much that the range for the day so far has been, at least on my chart, about 77 pips. It's probably a little bit different because I know you're on a different broker than I am, TRO, but it's somewhere around 77 pips.
I got
Which
77, yeah.
Okay, nice. And so and that tells me that also in the percentile, which we talked a little bit about in yesterday's video, that we're at the 15%. That tells me that we've got a very, very good chance that we're going to continue moving, expanding on this particular day. Will it expand in the downward direction as it has so far? Don't know, but I do know that there's a good chance that there's significant movement. The only thing that would make me a little bit hesitant on it is that we did have a day this week which was Monday, where we only moved about 74 pips. So I got to remember that, there are days that you do close, the day in only the 15th percentile or the 10th percentile. That happens. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. So you just got to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, one
So
thing you didn't mention is, but that's usually at the beginning of the day. We look to see if there's any news. So today we've got the FOMC report coming out.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. I forgot. Yeah, it's funny because I like looking at the news, but a lot of times I forget to go and do that. That's coming out at 2 o'clock this afternoon and Eastern time, and so generally speaking, that's going to go and cause some type of movement. The reality is, what are they going to go and move the interest rate in the U.S.? Yes or no? And if they move it, what's the impact of that? Is it going to be an impact on the markets? Because let's face it, if they put the interest rates up, people are going to want to go into U.S. dollars. Why? Because they can get paid more just because of that. If they move it down, well, that tells us a couple of things that becomes a conflicted report, because if they're moving it down, what that's telling us is that, the economy, it needs to have more influx of cash. So that's a situation where, do we really want to go and be investing into a U.S. market when the Fed thinks that there's a problem right now? We need to go and start putting more money into the market, so it becomes conflicted. So those things have an effect. Now, we as retail, traders, the reality is we can't do anything about it. But at the same time, what we need to do is say, there's a report coming out at that time. There's a good chance that there's going to be heavy movement, and, now if you can go and bracket that somehow and actually have a trading method that takes advantage of it, that's great. And in the old days, I think you could talk to it more, but in the old days, you could make a ton of money off of that, but nowadays it seems a little bit difficult because of spread changes and so on and so forth. But yeah, you have to go and look at those reports to see what else is coming out. And then, the fact that we are sitting here now with only like 77 pips on the day, is that muted because of the fact that we know that there's a big report coming out later in the day that may factor into it. So I don't know, but I do know that typically we see a lot more movement by this point in time in the day.
Yeah.
Uh,
So back to the chart. So we looked at the daily chart and we pretty much established where price is basically in relation to today's open and where it is compared to yesterday. I do believe we took out the pivot. Um, if I'm not mistaken, let me pull up my pivot chart here. Just going through the charts I normally do. All the gaps filled. You can see we were inside the range of the first day of the week's candle here. We're also inside the range of the first day of the month's candle. And we actually hit the open of the week at 36.80. On the year, we're only up 49 pips from the open. We cracked in that inside bar from 2 days ago. Daily range, like you said, 77, only 3 pairs over 100. Yeah, we did hit that pivot point. We're in the rat zone right now. Weekly pivot, we took that out yesterday. You can see that on the weekly. On the daily, we actually took out, looks like that missed pivot from 4 days ago. We took that out yesterday. We took out today's pivot. So pivot wise, we're doing pretty well. Wick zone, in and out of that upper wick zone, which for those traders just tuning in, that would be the between the high and the candle top of yesterday's daily candle. That's what we refer to as the wick zone. What else do we look at on the charts?
I
Walmal?
generally, the next thing I would do is I then drop down to the hourly charts, and I look at the hourly charts and just look to see if I see anything that's unusual. Now, looking on that hourly chart, what I see is I see a lot of wicks on the bottom side of those hourly candles. So that tells me, you know what, there's money to be made because it'll run in a particular direction and it tends to want to go back towards the middle. Now, that's not unusual for the pound to do that, but it just tells me that the pound is doing what the pound normally does. And if you look right now on the current hour, you know, we're 2 minutes before this hour ends. You know, we've got a wick on the bottom that's 15 pips on a candle that's only 26. You know, in the total range of it. So that tells me that more than half of the candle is wick on the bottom. So that just tells me, okay, it's pushing down. There's no doubt about that. The day is pushing down, but it's hitting some resistance. It's pushing down to a new level and then bouncing off of that. Keep that in mind. Is there something I can go and make some money off of, you know, in this hour coming up? Will it do the same thing? Don't know, but there's, you know, this type of thing when you're trading, one of the things that you're looking for is patterns. And until a pattern is broken, that's an opportunity.
Exactly.
So I'd be looking for, you know, a situation where, okay, let this brand new candle that's going to show up in about 30 seconds, see if it goes and runs in a particular direction, and look for a reversal off of it.
Yeah.
You know, and
I was just saying, yeah, go. No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. You know, so you're looking for those patterns. You know, what I also would do is I would then, once I've done and looked at the 1 hour, I then do the exact same thing again now on the 15-minute. Do I see anything that's happening? You know, I don't in this particular case, but that's okay. Now what I do is I start looking at the 5-minute and the 1 minute because that's what I usually trade off of. Do I see something that would be trade-worthy coming into this hour? We have a brand new hour right now. Where are my Walmal lines? My Walmal lines are 3,790. I know that 3,700, if I cross that, that's usually worth, you know, a pip or two at least. So I could go and maybe do a smash and grab and getting it off of it just because of what that number is.
We got top of the hour here, by the way.
Yeah, I just called that out.
Okay.
You know, and so, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, there's a possibility, you know, that there may be some pips that we could go and grab off of that top of the hour, you know, off that break of the 3,700. You know, I would also want to go back and look a little bit and say, okay, that 3,700, has that caused problems in the past? Has that been something that's caused some type of, you know, lots of crossovers? And if you look back, even over the last hour, the previous hour, you could see it ran through it, ran through it, ran through it, ran through it, ran through it. Did it 5 times, up and down, up and down, up and down. So that tells me there's pips to be made there. I can go and take those trades. As it gets to that 3,700, take the trade in a direction. When it comes back down the other way, we're clearly going down, take the trade going down, If we get there, we aren't there, and I don't know if it's going to get there or not. But if it does, that's a play that you can make off of that. The next part of it is looking. Are we in the rat zone? Well, I know you can play the rat zone, wherever you want to go and play it. I don't like to play it until we're at least 80 pips. So we're right at that cutting edge, but we could certainly do it. If we're in that rat zone, that's just one of those things. Right now, we're in the rat zone by 2 or 3 pips coming off the bottom. So that's another possibility for wanting to go long at 3,700.
Right.
But we also have that 2 ball that just showed up.
Yeah, and you're looking at the 1 minute for that 2 ball, right? Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But if you switch back, actually, if you look at the M15, there was a 3 ball at the bottom. And this is for, I guess, traders that aren't into the smash and grab, and they're looking to make a little more pips, stay in the trade a little bit longer. This is one of those ones where if you can have faith in the system, you can see 3 ball to 3 ball, 3 ball to 3 ball. Now this 3 ball has kind of moved down, and that's where I have the TRO dynamic support resistance indicator, which that's free to download. And it's in the TRO build 1200 and 1300 files, all those TRO build files that I send out. But you just notice here, if you have faith, after every 3 ball, there's usually going to be a 1 ball somewhere. And what's a 1 ball? That means it's like at least a 5 period high, in this case M15. So right now, it's going to have to break this level and this level to make a 1 ball. Okay, you go back. So, and this is the highest high in the last 5 candles. So it's going to have to break it. Now, this candle could close lower, and so then you'd still count back 5 candles to see where the highest high is. But those are pips that you can, look to bag if you want to wait. Of course, price could come down, reverse, and put in a lower 3 ball, and you'd be stopped out. But this is just something that, over time, we've seen this happen. And we've got 1, 2, 3 red hour candles, and we know that's a buzzard reversal. 3 or more same color candles in a row, you look for that reversal. We got about 2 minutes left there, Walmal. Anything else you want to add? Anything you want to add?
I think we really covered, the other things that you want to do is cover, or look where's your holo lines, because we're actually on a holo line right now, which is the current line.
Right.
That's another place where you can go and grab some pips, because we just know when it crosses that line, generally speaking, you could go and take a couple of pips. Like right here, if you would have taken that trade, you could right now, you could have gone and gotten, pip and a half. Or still be in the trade and gotten, now at this point you could have picked up, 2.5 pips.
Well, you're doing the reverse holo.
Yes,
holo is usually you're trading towards the daily open, because you're coming off the lowest open of the day and the highest open. But Walmal likes to do the reverse holo, and the reason why is if you look here, about 3 candles ago, this was the lowest open. I'm sorry, right here was the lowest open. And so price ran up, it came back down and smashed through it. So now we've got a new lowest open here. Price ran up, smashed all the way down, made a new low. Because in order to make a new low, it's got to go through that lowest H1 open. And so we're just about out of time here, fellow traders. So what we're saying basically is take a look at everything. Look at the charts, look at the daily, weekly, monthly if you're inclined, and just look left, see what you see before you trade, and do it every hour so you're pretty much up to date, because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.